All right, welcome everyone to the deep dive. Today we're going to be looking into something that might seem pretty basic at first glance.
Yeah.
But the stuff you sent over, the research and all that, really paints it as like this secret weapon for productivity.
Right.
And getting everyone on the same page no matter what kind of work you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. The articles and case studies were fascinating, weren't they? All these different sources all kind of pointing towards the same idea.
Exactly. And it's all about how you start the day.
Yeah?
This is Season 1, Episode 1 of The Deep Dive, a Karas Innovations Group production. Special thanks to our executive producer and founder, Lanier Johnson.
Cool.
So the mission today, right, is to really dig into what these daily check-ins, these shift meetings are all about, why they matter across so many different industries.
Yeah.
And, maybe even trigger a few aha moments for folks listening in about how they could use these ideas themselves.
I think that's totally possible.
So, what is a daily shift meeting? Or a Tier 1 meeting, as some people call them?
Yeah, so at its core, one of the articles described these meetings as like the heartbeat of a solid MOS.
MOS, right? Management Operating System.
Yeah, exactly.
For anyone who's not familiar with that term.
Yeah, so they're short, really focused, and they're all about reviewing yesterday's performance, outlining today's goals, and flagging any roadblocks.
Right, just getting everyone on the same page from the start.
Exactly. And I think what's really interesting here is that very structure forces everyone to be efficient.
Oh, yeah.
Only the most critical things get discussed, and that not only keeps things moving, but it prevents meeting fatigue, too.
Makes sense.
And then the outcome you're aiming for is that crystal clear expectation setting, everyone aligned right from the start of the day.
Absolutely. No one's left wondering what they should be doing.
Exactly.
And speaking of clarity, you shared this case study about Apex Manufacturing, right? They really brought this concept to life.
Oh, yeah. Apex is a great example. Their initial situation, though, it's surprisingly common.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, inconsistent production, communication breakdowns between shifts, the usual suspects. They were always reacting to problems instead of getting ahead of them.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies struggle with that.
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic scenario.
So what did they do about it?
Well, their solution was so simple but powerful.
Okay.
They started these 15-minute start every day with a purposeful shift meeting for every single shift.
So it wasn't about adding more meetings, just making the ones they had count.
Exactly. And the results were pretty remarkable.
Oh, yeah. What did they see?
Within a month, they saw this huge improvement in communication between shifts.
Wow.
Information was actually flowing from one team to the next, and accountability went up, like immediately.
Interesting.
Supervisors were saying their teams were coming in prepared, know exactly what they needed to do and what to watch out for.
It makes you realize the power of shared information, right? Everyone's literally on the same page.
Absolutely. It's all about intentionality.
Yeah.
And these meetings, they didn't just fade away. They actually became part of their MOS, like a daily rhythm.
So it was built into the system. It wasn't just this extra thing they tried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? It actually gave the operators themselves more ownership over their work.
Oh, that's interesting. How so?
Having that daily platform to voice their concerns and ideas, it made them feel more connected to the bigger picture.
That makes sense.
And to really leverage this, they started using some specific tools.
Right. They got visual, right?
Exactly. They had these daily performance boards showing key metrics, KPIs, the important stuff. It made their conversations data-driven, not just based on gut feeling.
So no more guessing games. Everyone's looking at the same numbers.
Precisely. It helped them spot trends and track progress so much better.
And that's where the real impact shows up, right? What were the results for Apex after they implemented all this?
All right, get this. After 90 days, they saw a 12% improvement in their first pass yield.
Wow, so fewer defects right from the start.
Right, and their OEE, overall equipment effectiveness, went up by 9%.
Those are some serious gains. I bet the leadership was thrilled.
Oh, absolutely. But it wasn't just about the big numbers, There were these ripple effects throughout the organization.
Like what?
Well, because they were communicating so much better, smaller issues were getting caught and fixed early on.
So they were preventing those small things from turning into huge problems.
Exactly. And this is the best part. The operators themselves started suggesting ways to improve things.
Wow, that's amazing.
They were on the front lines. They had the best insights. These meetings gave them a voice.
So it created this bottom-up culture of improvement.
Yeah. And those suggestions led to real changes, like faster changeover times between production runs,
Oh, wow.
and more standardized work instructions across all shifts.
So the consistency improved, everything became smoother.
Exactly. And the impact for Apex went way beyond productivity numbers, They built a more engaged workforce, everyone was aligned, communication was transparent, and they became known for their commitment to continuous improvement.
They basically became a model for lean manufacturing.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating to me is that this approach, these principles, they're not limited to manufacturing at all.
Right. The more I looked at the research you sent, the more I realized how universal this idea seems to be.
It's all about those core elements, clear communication, a shared vision, and a proactive approach to problem solving, right?
Exactly. And it seems like in a lot of industries, manufacturing, engineering, supply chain, these daily shift meetings, these tier one meetings, they're becoming essential.
Yeah, and you see this particularly in sectors that are really embracing Lean and Six Sigma.
Right. They're all about optimizing those processes, squeezing out inefficiencies.
Exactly. And these meetings are perfect for making sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to production targets, safety protocols, quality standards, all that good stuff.
No room for confusion.
Right. And even in areas where it's not about physical products, like engineering or service-oriented businesses, they're finding ways to adapt this concept.
Yeah, it's more about project management and collaboration there, right?
Exactly. Think about engineering teams. They can use these quick meetings to share updates on design changes.
Right. Keep everyone in the loop.
Yeah, track milestones, make sure resources are allocated correctly, prevent those costly delays and miscommunications.
And it's the same for service-based companies, right? Keeping everyone aligned on client priorities, resolving issues quickly, ensuring a consistently good customer experience.
Right. It's about agility and responsiveness, especially in those fast-paced service environments.
And you know what's really interesting is that even marketing and sales teams are getting in on this action.
Oh, yeah. They're using these daily huddles to keep their campaigns synchronized, react to changes in the market.
It's all about staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly. And what's really cool is they're incorporating things like performance dashboards, real-time data.
So they're making data-driven decisions, not just relying on gut feeling.
Absolutely. It makes them so much more responsive.
And then there's the world of supply chain and logistics.
Oh, yeah, that's a complex beast.
It is. And those daily meetings, they're becoming vital for managing all those moving parts.
Absolutely. They're using them to identify potential disruptions before they become major problems.
Right. Proactive problem solving, right?
Exactly. They review fulfillment metrics, adjust workforce allocations, all in real time, keeping things running smoothly.
It's all about maintaining that flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, the data really backs all of this up. It's not just anecdotal evidence.
Right. You shared some really interesting stats.
Yeah. That Lean Enterprise Institute survey from 2024, remember?
Yeah.
They found that a whopping 68% of high-performing manufacturers use daily Tier 1 meetings.
That's a huge majority.
It is. And those companies are seeing some amazing results, like a 15% improvement in schedule attainment.
Wow.
And a 20% reduction in unplanned downtime.
Those are huge numbers.
They are. It just shows how powerful those short, focused meetings can be.
And what about the other sectors, like service and engineering? What does the data say there?
Well, McKinsey did some research, and they found that teams using daily alignment meetings saw a 25% reduction in project delays.
That's incredible.
It is. And a lot of it comes down to better coordination and resource allocation. Everyone knows what's going on. They can flag potential problems early, share knowledge.
It's all about communication. Right?
Exactly. And marketing teams aren't left out either. The 2023 HubSpot report showed that teams with daily stand-ups had a 23% faster turnaround time on campaign tasks.
Wow, that's a significant speed boost.
It is. And communication between teams also improved by 17%.
So everyone's working more efficiently and they're more in sync with each other.
Right. And even in warehousing and supply chain, the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals found a 12% improvement in order fulfillment rates with those daily meetings.
So it's about accuracy and efficiency.
Exactly. And they also saw a 19% decrease in inventory discrepancies.
So less waste, fewer errors. That's huge for their bottom line.
Absolutely. It's clear that these meetings, they're not just a fad. They really do make a difference.
Yeah, the evidence is pretty overwhelming across all these different industries.
And the common denominator is always communication, that shared understanding of goals and proactive problem solving, right?
Absolutely. Whether you're making products, delivering services, running marketing campaigns, or managing complex supply chains, it all starts with clarity.
That's a great way to put it.
So to wrap things up, it seems like these purposeful shift meetings, these daily huddles, they're a real game changer, and not just for one specific industry.
I hope everyone listening got some valuable takeaways from this deep dive.
Me too. I'm curious, what really stood out to you?
I think the sheer range of applications is fascinating.
Yeah.
It shows that even something as simple as a short daily meeting can have a huge impact on any team.
Absolutely. What about you, dear listener? What resonated with you? How do you think a structured daily huddle could change the way your team works?
It's definitely something to consider, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into purposeful shift meetings. This was Season 1, Episode 1 of The Deep Dive, a Karas Innovations Group production. Special thanks to our executive producer and founder, Lenier Johnson. We look forward to our next exploration.
See you then.